Daniel's mother could not believe that her son was divorcing Eden. From her point of view, this marriage was perfect. She had known Eden since childhood. The girl was the only daughter of wealthy parents. Her father was the chief engineer of a factory, and her mother was a doctor. From childhood, Eden had everything, but all this did not spoil the girl. She grew up very goal-oriented, and she always knew what she wanted. "That's the kind of wife you need," his mother convinced Daniel back then. "Life is hard now, and with Eden you'll never be in trouble. She's a smart, beautiful girl, not like your Kelly." Kelly's family lived next door. Her father used to drink, and her mother worked 2 jobs. On chance encounters, Kelly, quiet as a mouse, always looked at Daniel with such bright and amorous eyes that the boy involuntarily smiled back at her. At such moments, Kelly seemed to him an extraordinary beauty. Daniel saw how tiny and thin Kelly was, and he always wanted to give her a shoulder to lean on. At first, he just talked to the young neighbour, then he began to visit her, and then the time came when they became inseparable. That was when Daniel's mother started to worry. She was friends with Eden's parents and thought that her son had every chance of having an affair with a decent girl. Of course, it would not be difficult for Eden to find a more promising groom, but Daniel was a handsome, tall guy. He was a college student, he didn't smoke, did not drink, and was very decent. Knowing all these virtues of her son, the woman thought he should fight for Eden. "Why should I be interested in her?" exclaimed Daniel. "I won't find better than Kelly. She'll graduate this year, and we'll—" Daniel's mother hastily interrupted her son and tried to move the conversation to another topic, because there was nothing more terrible for her than the words, "and we'll get married." And then after graduation, Kelly suddenly disappeared. At first her mother said she had gone to visit a girlfriend for a month or 2, and then she proudly informed Daniel that her daughter had enrolled in a high-profile college. "She's in the philological department." She said the unfamiliar words almost syllable for syllable. "Don't bother her. Let her study in peace. Her whole fate now depends on her studies." Deep down, Daniel was shocked that Kelly had left him unexpectedly. Of course he wouldn't interfere with her studies, and they could call and text each other and meet on vacations. But Kelly had decided to break up with him. She changed her phone number, deleted her social media pages, and her mother resolutely refused to share any information with Daniel. The man was so offended by all of this that he gave in to his mother's persuasion and agreed to court Eden. The young man had no trouble getting the young beauty to like him, only it was unclear who was courting whom, because Eden always knew exactly what she wanted, what her plans were, and she made decisions for 2. "Today we're going to the beach," she used to inform Daniel. "Then we'll have lunch at a cafe, and in the evening my journalist friends are having a great party." She has never asked if Daniel is happy with her outlined plan, or if he wants to accompany her. To be fair, Daniel didn't mind. Eden's acquaintances were interesting people, and all sorts of exhibitions and concerts that the girl chose really deserved attention. Their own wedding, Eden also planned perfectly. "Let's get married before the new year and go to the Emirates. I looked out for such a nice hotel there, like an Oriental palace, and the sea is just a few steps away." Daniel didn't even have to say that it was too expensive. The wedding trip was paid by Eden's parents, who had decided to do everything to make it memorable for the young couple. Eden went to work at a pre-arranged place, especially for her. The position of deputy director for social issues was created. Daniel became an art director in one of the city cultural centres. Life was intense. The spouses rarely spent evenings at home. When Daniel had no events, they were always going somewhere. If not for a play, then for a party. If not to the gym, then to a restaurant. Daniel did not admit to anyone that he longed for those quiet evenings when he and Kelly would drink tea in the kitchen and talk about the most intimate things, when they could turn on a movie, get under the same blanket, and enjoy the fact that they were near each other, that it was raining outside the window, and that tomorrow was Sunday, and there was no hurry anywhere. In general, Daniel's mother thought that her son had made a wonderful choice, but there was something that saddened the woman. "I wish I had a grandson or granddaughter," she used to say. "I'm not getting any younger. In the summer, I'd take the baby to my summer cottage. You'd go on vacation." "No, no, no," objected Eden, not directly to her mother-in-law, but later to Daniel. "These old people always say that they are ready to babysit their grandchildren, but in reality, they will come to visit, give a toy, and that's it. They have illnesses, summer houses, friends. They want to relax. As a result, we will run out of quiet life. It's not for nothing that my mother barely agreed to have one child, and when I was born she swore no one else, ever. I don't know if I'll ever want to have babies either." Daniel understood even in this matter no one would ask his opinion, and one day he realized that he was tired. He was just tired of everything in the world, of this planned life, of his wife's inflexible character, of a house that was not really his home. And then he suddenly announced to his wife that he was filing for divorce. Eden was taken aback. For the first time in their family life, her husband did not want to discuss the problem, did not agree to see a psychologist, ignored the arguments of her parents. He just lay on the couch and with his hands behind his head, to all her exhortations to him, said that he was fed up with everything and had already decided. In the end, Eden could not stand it. "Well, at least we don't have a baby," she said sarcastically. "I was right. How would I explain to the baby now that his daddy's just sick of everything?" Along with the divorce papers, Daniel got a certain amount of money. It was a sort of payoff. If there was anything Eden and her parents were grateful for, it was that Daniel decided not to divide the property. Everything was left to his ex-wife. Daniel packed his bag, drove to the train station, and went far away from here. The man was sure that he would not be unemployed in another state. And indeed, Daniel found a job fairly quickly. Soon he opened his own holiday agency, and even his mother came to terms with the fact that her son had made such a sharp turn in his fate. One day, his agency received an order for a birthday greeting for a 6-year-old boy on Christmas Eve, but there was not a single available animator in the agency. Daniel was about to refuse the order, but imagining how on Christmas Eve the boy's father and mother would be calling other agencies and would hear that they had been late, he decided not to upset the boy. "Okay, I'll shake off the old days," thought Daniel, and pulled out his Batman costume. The house he arrived at looked like a fairy tale. Everything around the house was decorated. There was a big, fluffy Christmas tree in the yard. When Daniel rang the bell and the door opened, a little boy, surprisingly similar to Daniel as a child, appeared before his eyes. The same blue eyes, the upturned nose, even the same facial expression as he remembered from his childhood pictures. "Oh, we are happy to see you," the boy's mother greeted Daniel. Daniel averted his eyes from the child, who was jumping for joy, and looked at his mother, froze in shock. It was Kelly. She had changed a lot. Now she was no longer a shy, quiet girl, but a mature woman. And yet it was his Kelly. Daniel could not help but recognize the one he had been thinking about every day for all these years. It took Daniel a tremendous effort to pull himself together, but he played the entire program. At the end, he announced to the boy that since he had performed all the tasks so well, read poetry and guessed riddles, he would certainly grow up to be a superhero too. Daniel handed the boy a gift, which Kelly discreetly gave him, and the happy child ran to his room. "Would you like some tea?" Kelly suggested. "Thank you. Only if your son sees that I took my mask off, there will be great disappointment." "You're right," laughed Kelly. "Let's go to the kitchen. We can sit there quietly. He will be playing now with his gift, so he has no time for us." Daniel took off his mask, standing in the kitchen doorway. "Come in, sit down at the table," said Kelly, taking the cake out of the refrigerator. Looking at Daniel without the mask, she gasped. Her hands trembled so much that she had to hastily put the cake on the table. "How did you find us?" she muttered. "I had no idea who I had come to," answered Daniel quietly. "Probably it is a miracle, because it is Christmas Eve today, and your son—" He did not dare to continue. "I guess tea won't be enough for us," said Kelly. "But I don't have anything strong, just a bottle of champagne." "Let's open it, and I'll tell you everything." It turned out that almost 7 years ago, she hadn't made any plans at all to start a new life and go to a college. After graduation, she was going to tell Daniel that she was expecting a baby. Kelly had a dream that they would have a quiet wedding, live together, she would raise the baby, devote all her time to him while her husband worked. But Daniel's mother came to her. Kelly was confused because the woman she had already thought of as her future mother-in-law was visiting her for the first time in her life. But what Kelly heard was not at all what she was expecting. "You see, every boy has his first girl in life, but in fact, Daniel feels sorry for you. He sees how poor you and your parents live. Eden is the best option for him. He will have an entirely different life with her. You don't want him to go out with you out of pity, do you? You're not going to drown his future in this swamp of yours, are you?" Kelly confessed that she had never had a more difficult moment in her life than this conversation. She cried all night, and in the morning she packed her things and left for her cousin, who had been living in this city for 5 years. Then the baby was born. Kelly graduated in philology, and now she works remotely at a publishing house, translating books and renting this house. "I can never forgive my mother for that," said Daniel, clenching his fists. "Don't say that." Kelly smiled tiredly. "Even I have forgiven. The main thing is that nothing irreparable has happened, and I gave birth to Benny. He's a wonderful boy, but sometimes it is hard to raise him." "It will be easier now," said Daniel in a confident voice. "We'll have to catch up on everything we've missed over the years because of me, but we won't part again." Kelly, looking him straight in his eyes, squeezed his hand and smiled. The woman didn't know if they would be able to become a family after all these years, but right now she was happy.